So I was preparing a separate video when I found something disturbing. I wanted to double-check a document, Thomas Bullock's notes of the church conference on 6 to 9 April 1844, that I had previously found on the Joseph Smith Papers website. To my chagrin, I could not find it. I finally typed in the exact website address and got a 404 error. The page no longer existed. But as they say, the internet is forever. Thanks to the friendly folks at Internet Archive, the page was saved, so I knew that I wasn't crazy. It had been there before. I had also saved images of the document on my computer. After much searching, I was able to find the watermarked, untranscribed pages of the notes in the Church History Library. But I also verified that multiple parts of the Joseph Smith Papers website had been changed to eliminate the last day of the church conference. I wondered, why was this day of the conference deleted from the Joseph Smith Papers? I used the Contact Us feature on the website to ask the question. They replied, "The document's Volume 14 print volume editors determined that the meeting on 9 April was an elders' conference, no longer the general conference of 6 to 8 April. Since Joseph Smith didn't participate in the elders' conference, it doesn't count as a Joseph Smith document. So we took that off the website. Bullock's notes for the 9 April meeting are available in the Church History Library's online catalog." That seems like an innocent enough explanation, and maybe it is, but given the content of the speech I was looking for, I was suspicious. The speech was by Hyrum Smith, who, according to the LDS narrative, was a polygamist. They even say he tried to convince Emma Smith that polygamy was a commandment from God with the text of D&C 132. But at the conference, Hyrum explained that men had been coming to him asking about polygamy, about how many wives they were allowed to have. Hyrum then said, "I am authorized to tell you from henceforth that any man who comes in and tells any such damned fool doctrine to come in to take away his license. None but a fool teaches such stuff. The devil himself is not such a fool. I wish the elders of Israel to understand it is lawful for a man to marry a wife, but it is unlawful to have more, and God has not commanded anyone to have more. And if any of you dare to presume to do any such thing, it will spoil your fun, for you will never preach the gospel. I despise a man who teaches a pack of stuff that will disgrace himself so. For a man to go into the world and talk of this spiritual wife system, a man is as empty as an open sepulchre. I would call the devil my brother before such a man. I have difficulty believing that the sole reason this was removed was that Joseph didn't speak. If that's the case, why go to the work of adding and transcribing Hyrum's speech in the first place? There are many talks given at the conference by people other than Joseph that are still on the website. Why haven't they been removed? Why was the document deleted shortly after Whitney Horning used it in her books Joseph Smith Revealed, A Faithful Telling, and Hyrum Smith, A Prophet Unsung, which both argue against the church's polygamy narrative and are growing in popularity? I recognize the possibility that I'm being paranoid. I'm sure there are reasonable explanations for all these questions. For example, the timing could be caused simply by the print editors of the 14th volume of the Joseph Smith Papers, which was published in April 2023, having to cut some items because of space limitations, and the website was altered to match. And to be fair, the phrase interim content did appear on the page prior to the deletion. The fact that the notes are still available in the Church History Library, at least for now, seems to rule out a targeted effort to completely eliminate the document. And it still can be found on the Joseph Smith Papers website, buried in an early draft of the history of the church, from which it is crossed out, and future editions carry a heavily edited version where Hyrum does not mention polygamy at all. Regardless, they have certainly made Hyrum's speech more difficult to find, and deleted specifically the version of Hyrum's speech that Whitney Horning cited in her books. In 1841, God said of Hyrum that from this time forth I appoint unto him that he may be a prophet, and a seer, and a revelator unto my church, as well as my servant Joseph, that my servant Hyrum may bear record of the things which I shall show unto him, that his name may be had in honorable remembrance from generation to generation forever and ever. From what I can find, Hyrum's speech does not appear in the notes of the apostles who attended the conference, and at least 3 of the apostles already had plural wives. Hyrum's speech was not included in the coverage of the conference in the Times and Seasons, the newspaper published by the apostles. Those omissions are bad, but what is worse? Hyrum's speech was already on the paper's website. It would have cost nothing to leave it. They went out of their way to deliberately remove the words of someone their own scriptures call a prophet and a seer and a revelator, whose name should be had in honorable remembrance. Maybe the removal was innocent, but given the content of Hyrum's speech and the documented efforts of the LDS Church to alter history to support Brigham Young and the polygamy narrative, I have a hard time believing that scholarly exactitude was the only motive. If I'm overlooking something, please let me know in the comments below. Hyrum said, "It is lawful for a man to marry a wife, but it is unlawful to have more, and God has not commanded anyone to have more." I believe Hyrum, and I believe Joseph.